This is the O Review podcast. O Review.
All right, welcome to another episode. I have a lot to cover today. I'm going to cover two things. I'm going to take a look at the Heritage Collection. I'm also going to take a look at some of the general holiday 2014 edition things or releases that came out, because there was quite a few of them this year. So in my last video, I mentioned that I did get this frog skin box, and I had mentioned that also that I wanted to get some of the Heritage ones because the Heritage boxes have the three names on them, so you can almost stack them and have all three. I'm not going to get another frog because this was sort of one of those freak occurrences where I wanted one. But I did get the other two because they were on the Vault site for like 70% off, and I figured I have to get them now because I did sort of want them, and when the price came down to like $50, I figured I couldn't pass that up. So just going back a couple years, actually 2010, when the original staple came out, they also came out with like the tennis ball eye shade, the surf razor blade, but there were some just solid color ones that were released, but not really distributed much, so they were hard to get, and there really weren't that many of them. So flashback a year ago, and we started seeing the first wave of the Heritage Collection, and most of those were like seafoam, a black with fire, as well as a matte clear with like a violet iridium. So those are the general ones. And then this fall, they came out with a second wave, which were generally red with fire, a blue with ice, and then sort of just a regular like gray or fog or sort of a more of a neutral one. So I picked up ones that I like the best. I do like ice and I like fire, so that sort of worked out. They also match some of the vintage ones I have, so I can do a little bit of a comparison. I like to do old versus new whenever I have a re-release, so these sort of fit that mold. So let's take a look at the eye shade first. The thing I'm really happy about is that the Vault purchases came with all of the extras. So you get the pin, you get, for the razor blade, you get the pick. You also get the accessory ear stems too. So on the eye shade, you're going to get the hook. You're also going to get the wraparound as well. So these basically just come right out. They also adjust so you can have them at different lengths to fit your head. But basically all of the accessories that came with the original classic pairs are also included in here. So the razor blade comes stock with trigger, but then it also comes with the hook lenses, hook stems as well, using the guitar pick to sort of change out between the two. So everything else is going to be pretty much similar. I imagine the O-Matter formula has been updated to the modern one, so it's not as prone to breakage or cracking or anything like that. But overall, the designs are pretty much exactly the same as you'd find on the original one. The only few differences you're going to see is that instead of having a screen printed or sort of like almost a sticker, you're going to have something that's laser and etched into the lens. So there are a few lens things that have changed, but overall it's pretty much the same design as the classic. Now moving over to the razor blade, the 2010 editions and even the early mock-up images of these, I was convinced it was a collector blade, not a collector razor blade. But taking a look at my vintage one, you notice that the blade lens is much bigger than these. And if you compare it to a vintage razor blade, it's pretty much on par. So these are, in the end, just a collector razor blade. Taking a look at the slit lens I have here, you'll notice that, of course, the slit lens is much, much smaller. But the blue that comes with the vintage blue color is not the same as the blue that came with the Heritage. So this is more of just like a light blue. It also has more of a shine to it, but that could just be because the older pairs have more years on them, so maybe a little bit more wear and tear kind of took the shine off. But these do generally have more of a polished finish than the flat colors of the originals. Also of note are the 2005 edition new razor blades, and these were updated to a lot of the modern technology and specs that were general around the time. So they had sort of more of a curved finish, an integrated hinge. They also had different attachment points at the nose piece, so you could have a sport versus lifestyle pair. Usually when things are released, I'd like to see some of an update just so we have the modern tech, because if you're going to release something under the Oakley name, I want it to hold up to a lot of the modern designs that we're used to, not just a recast, but the fact that these dropped in price so fast means they probably didn't sell well, but then again, those didn't either, so I don't know. It's nice to have as a collector's piece, but I do like to see things sort of updated over time and sort of improved upon, because Oakley has put a lot of effort into their technology, and I like to see that with each release. In addition to the Heritage, there was also a 30 Year of Sports line. And the logo is actually on all of the Heritage pairs, but the 30 Years of Sports ones were generally the flak jacket, the radar, and the new racing jacket. So there were more modern ones that played a heritage or sort of paid an homage to a lot of the classic pairs with some striping color on them. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the holiday 2014 releases, and there were a ton of them this year. This Crystal Red Half Jacket 2 was one of the Black Friday deals. There were also some fast jackets and a lot of the ink line of Garage Rocks. So I picked these up for not too much. Also at the vault I found this Crystal Blue 4S. It was $19 and it was in the back. And I can't believe they still had them lying around, but they did. So that was definitely a good pickup. I also got my first knife. This is a Nirk Tighe foldable. So I hope this doesn't turn into another obsession, but it definitely could. Also, they came out with this book, and this book is big. This book is huge. This book weighs like 10 pounds. And as you see, it's a very high quality book. And I will probably do another video on this soon. But right now, this thing is just too massive to kind of look over on the camera. So we'll do that another time. The last thing I want to look at is something called the Christmas Bunker. And if you remember, if you were kind of following a lot of the trophies that have been released lately, there was one trophy that had a model of headquarters on the top of it. And on eBay, you might have seen some recasts of that, but they're not genuine. This one is genuine, though. And the nice thing with this is pure metal. So these are all limited. They have a card that kind of has a certificate of authenticity. I got number 477 of 500, so there are 500 of these. And these things are really well made. Has a plaque on the back. It says Oakley 1 Icon 1997. It even has a latitude and longitude. It has sort of a carbon fiber print on the back too, so that's a nice touch. And these things are really heavy duty, so these are really, really cool to have in the collection. Alright, so I'm going to wrap this up because it sounds like someone's crabby. And I will see you next time. So definitely, if you see this in the next few days, check out the vault site, see if you can grab some of these deals. Or head out to your local vault. They're doing a lot of sales, 40% off, a lot of things. So definitely check those out. And hope you have a Merry Christmas and all that good stuff. And I will see you later. Thanks.